Bull or bear for Monday? Let's see. Throwing up a bear today. Throwing up a bear. Good morning. Yes, good Saturday morning. This is the, I'm going to call it the weekend wrap up for last week and the video I didn't do yesterday. Kind of getting into the habit of doing them on Saturdays instead of Friday evenings. It looks like we got a boat coming through the inlet, by the way. This is something I haven't put up this camera like in a year or something at least. I used to put this up quite frequently. It's a Hillsboro Lighthouse cam. 82 degrees out there. Looks like that could be me coming in the inlet right now. Man, I got to get out fishing. Anybody around here want to go out fishing? I've lost all my fishing partners lately. They're all working and doing things. Take a look. If you want to see where I'm at right now live on this camera, there's a little stretch area down here where you don't see any condos at all. That's Lauderdale by the Sea. Lauderdale by the Sea, beautiful little town that I live in here and that I run my business, Commercial Rare Coins and Precious Metals, and conciergebullion.com at. And the reason that you can see it, because they don't allow any buildings higher than 3 stories in Lauderdale by the Sea. So there are no condos. You see all these condos here? For like a mile of beach, there are no condos, just kind of like a bunch of low-rise little buildings. All right, well, we're not here to talk about the geography or the building structures down here, or even boating, although it looks like a lovely day to be out there. Man, I got to get out fishing. All right, let's take a look at, it's the weekend wrap-up and the weekend update. And what am I not going to talk about? Well, first, my quote of the day. Imitation, and you're going to know why I said this in a little bit here. Imitation isn't the sincerest form of flattery. It's plagiarism. So I thought that's kind of funny. Red Skeleton, most of you folks my age and older probably remember who that is as well. Extremely, really intelligent, funny man. Man, where have those people gone? All right, let's take a look at today's prices or yesterday's closes, which are completely meaningless. Why are they meaningless? Because you can't buy real silver at these prices, you can't buy real gold at these prices, and you can't buy real platinum at these prices. But we're going to focus on silver since that's the most effed up, manipulated market out of all of these 3 precious metals right here. And I don't even know what other market. I'm sure oil and all that other stuff is manipulated as well. But we're going to get into it. There's a good article by VBL that I want to read. I haven't read an article in quite some time. But I'm going to read an article or two here, see if we can get through that real quick. And again, talk about plagiarism. What I'm doing here is just rereading another person's article. But I think if a lot of you folks that aren't subscribed to or don't read BBL's article, I think he kind of nailed it today. And one of my favorite interweb guys out there to read as well understands the silver markets and how they're monkey hammered. And then there's a Ted Butler article too that I'd like to get into. Well, let's just take a look at these prices and what they really mean. They don't mean squat, folks. All they mean is an opportunity to buy these dips at super cheap prices. Not even the dips, just buy gold and silver and platinum at these ridiculously stupid paper prices. And I know the premiums are getting big, especially on silver. The premiums on silver are just insane. Do you know that Silver Eagles, the premium represents over half, if not, hold on, the premium is probably almost 75% of the price of silver itself. Wow, 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 wow. The wholesale buy prices are like 10 to 12 bucks or something like that on Silver Eagles. That's half the price, more than half the price of silver. Now when you consider what they're probably selling for out there, you know, they're probably 15, 16 bucks over spot at minimum. You know, you're getting near over 75% in a premium of what the actual silver price is. That's absolutely insane. And again, it's not the premiums. It's not the fault of dealers. And for all those folks that are going to say greedy bastard dealers out there, you know, you might be right for a small percentage of it, but most all the dealers out there are honest and good folks, are working on very small profit margins. They're just having a very difficult time getting any product. I've been talking about this for years now. I've been, you know, decades even, that at some point we're going to see a separation of the physical prices. We've seen it a couple times, kind of. But where the real silver, physical prices completely separate from the bullshit paper prices. And we are really starting to see that right now, especially with silver. It's just over the top crazy. And it makes you wonder when silver price is going to pop, and it will, folks. It will. And the reason, and a lot of people are probably just sick of hearing that, but, you know, they've screwed this market up so badly. And who is they? I'm going to say the CME Group, because they run that crooked casino, and they've allowed this to happen. And a lot of people say, well, why would the CME Group allow that to happen? Folks, you got to remember the CME Group is the casino. They own the casino more, so they own the trading floor, they own the platforms, they own the, all that stuff, okay? And they charge like it's a VIG. It's like a casino. They get a VIG of these trades. They make a certain percentage of these trades, and on their products that they sell on, or the products or the services that they offer in the CME Group. And they have made a fortune off these huge crooked silver trades and these derivative trades. They've made a fortune, and they continue to make a fortune. And you ask yourself, well, if they're gonna be doomed, if they're doomed to failure, why don't they just come right out and say, hey, this is wrong, we're going to fix it? Well, the reason they don't do that, folks, is because for the last, 2 decades, 3 decades, 4 decades, they've done absolutely nothing. Abso-freaking-lutely nothing. If all of a sudden the CME Group would come out and say, hey, we got to fix this problem, or there is a problem, even if they just acknowledge there is a problem, you know what? They open themselves up to a lot of major lawsuits. They open themselves up to huge lawsuits, possibly the failure and the downfall of the CME Group, because they have allowed it to happen so long. They're complicit. They have made a fortune off these crooked, illicit trades. So they're never going to fix it. They're never going to admit it. What they're going to do is allow it to break down, or maybe they don't really want it to break down, but they'll come out with all these crazy rules. But the problem is, well, you know what? I'll get into Vince's article because he explains it just as well, and I'll read that to you. Don't want to get too much ahead of myself here. And here we are. I'm not spending any time on gold, silver, and platinum prices other than to tell you these are stupid, ridiculously low prices that you can't buy real product with. You can buy paper bullshit with it, but you can't buy the real product with it. All right, here's VBL right here. I like this guy's writing. I think his first name is Vince. God, it sucks getting old. And I've kind of corresponded with him on the interweb a few times and let him know that I do like his articles. And his comment here, silver's just getting warmed up. What's next? And let me get into the meat of it. By the way, I highly recommend you read this. It's on ZH. Just type in update, silver is just getting warmed up. What's next? Type in that title right there on your Google search, and you should pull up ZH or somewhere else where they do list this article here. And, oh, wow. Okay. Just enjoying my view here. Let's see here. They're talking about, for example, last physical purchases was a monster box at $4.50 premium. Today, ITM $5 lower. That's how it starts to be self-fed. Asian demand. Well, anyways, GH Dr. Wall. This must be the guy that owns or is part of SD Bullion. Well, here we go. Silver stackers we talk to on a regular basis seem to be getting tired of hearing about the market's tightness without any movement in the bank's spot price. And I completely concur with that. I agree 100%. That's kind of what I've been witnessing for years now, not just recently, though. For years, a lot of people, you got to remember, I've been buying and selling precious metals, gold, silver, and platinum, physical, since 1977. I'm a second-generation dealer in this business, and I've been through a few markets. And it's really, I think we always knew that the markets were rigged and manipulated, but we never quite knew why. Thanks to people like GATA.org and Ted Butler, who were out there and were able to do the technical stuff, look at the COT reports, see how this is happening. So, we have factual, we have proof, we have evidence, we have facts that point to clear manipulation and collusive trading behavior in the COMEX markets, all right? And this happened in the LBMA markets as well as the LME markets, but we're going to stay focused with the COMEX markets. And people get tired of hearing about it. They get tired of hearing about how it's a rinse and repeat. Nobody goes to jail, nobody gets in big trouble, and CME Group allows it to happen over and over again. But we'll get into that, why that may change. However, obviously that could be about to change if the COMEX and LBMA vault drain continues for much longer. Very pertinent point here. One of the individuals I speak to regularly who has firsthand knowledge of a common depository operation told me recently they didn't think there's any unspoken silver left. Just people haven't figured it out yet. An interesting comment given there's supposedly 35 million ounces of registered silver left at COMEX. There's a couple of people out there that don't necessarily agree with that. I mean, not agree with that, but Ted Butler says that the registered and unregistered silver in comics isn't as meaningful as a lot of other factors out there, including, again, the shorting of the big shorts that are put out there by the capping of the market by the big collusive commercial banks. All right, I move along here. Some silver bullion production is ordered out through March 2023. I've been pretty fortunate for myself, folks, so far. But then again, I'm not dealing the online Walmart style of bullion, where we're getting the quantity orders that some of these companies get. So they're going to have a lot more difficult time locating sources than I will probably. And the other thing that a lot of the smaller dealers have a big advantage of is local customers that will sell directly to us. They're not going to ship it to the big boys online or whatever. So we're very fortunate is that we also have local customers that sell us gold and silver. And I got to tell you, when in the last year when people brought me gold and silver, I'd say really it's a bad time to sell. We try to talk people to selling, but they still, some people need money. So there is silver around, especially for us smaller guys out there. When I say smaller, I just mean smaller operations, tight ships. That's what we are. We're tight little ships. Some bullion production, again, is out through March 2023. Nearly every silver round coin is at least 4 weeks delayed from purchase, most 6 to 8 weeks. There already exists on the wholesale market what will be manifesting in retail trade across the space in the coming weeks, a complete uncoupling of price for live deliverable silver. Again, something we've talked about here for years. I've talked about this for years. In fact, I remember my first conversation about this was with the guy. Oh my God, he sat on the board of a few silver mining companies. Oh, jeepers. Again, it sucks getting old, but him and I had this conversation when we started to see the paper prices separate, and this was back in 2008. When the premiums were crazy as well. A lot of people don't remember this, but in 2008, when Lehman's collapsed, and a lot of people know that Lehman collapsed probably because of a silver short position that JP inherited. Not a lot of people know that, but when the 2008 collapse happened, gold and silver kind of went down dramatically, but there was zero product. I mean, gold was trading for what? Oh my gosh, I should know this, but let's say less than $1,000 an ounce, half of what it is, or less than half of what it is right now. Gold was trading at, and the premium for gold eagles was as high as it is right now, 200 plus. During the financial collapse, it just wasn't available. There was nothing available. It got sucked dry out there. Delivery times were weird, and that's when the mint was actually producing silver and still producing large amounts. Okay, they didn't cut down like they did now. We've got a really dynamic issue now. The mint's not even producing as many silver eagles and gold eagles as they were, so that just exasperates the whole problem here. But I digress. We are seeing a clear separation of the paper price from the physical price. And for folks out there that think the premiums are too high, no, it's not that. It's the paper price is too low. All right, that explains it in a nutshell. Let's see. You can already see the U.S. silver mint eagles where premiums are now 100% spot price. In the rare occurrence, someone is quoting inventory that's actually there on a shelf ready to ship that day. Premiums almost become irrelevant in this market. There's virtually no price quote that is too high with benefits of 3 hours hindsight. You snooze, you lose. Interesting comment by Dr. Tyler Wall from SD Bullion, which is a great company in my opinion, but I will beat their prices. So, among other things, he's talking about a long-standing structural deficit solely raised awareness that pricing economics do not make any sense. Yeah, this manipulation's been going on for quite some time. The guys at Wall Street Silver, all those silver apes, they understand it. A lot more people are understanding, but we are still a small minority of people out here that understand the issues and the collusive, manipulated behavior that's been going on in the silver market, particularly. We are a small percentage population, even though it's growing more and more and more. And I love it when I see guys like VBL start talking about it. Technical guys like himself. Structural deficits can't be spoofed away. This emerging industrial silver problem is due to years of neglect and core strategic asset right on there, Vince. Combine this with the financialized market structure that dissuades investment and healthy bull speculation. The result was we got more money funneled to Wall Street concoctions than should have been. This financial market structure problem becomes a tail wagging the physical dog. Vince, I got to ask you, did you hear that from me first? something I've been saying for years is that but it's cool. I'd like to hear someone else say that as well. I've been saying that for years, is that the physical is the dog and the paper markets are the tail. And that for all these decades, the tail's been wagging the dog. At some point, I think here, because of true supply and demand issues, that the dog is going to wag the tail right off its ass, right off its ass. All right, anyways, financial market structure has been demoralized. True, this is true as well, has demoralized metal bulls and stock bulls alike for decades, but it is ending. Don't blame the bullion banks. Well, I'm glad he put in too much, because you can blame the bullion banks for playing the short side to make all those money these years. Those same bullion banks, well, maybe you can't blame them because the casino, Comex, allowed it. Maybe it really is Comex's fault, but still, crooks are crooks. Those same bullion banks also recognize what we've written here will be very long bullion and likely short paper when the tide turns, and the tide is turning even if slowly. How do we know? Because that will happen. What will happen in silver is already happening in oil. Texas, now this is something where Vince brings in his expertise in other markets as well, which I like to see. So there are parallels, from my understanding. I've said this for some time. If it's happening in the silver market and the gold markets, it's got to be happening in other markets as well. I just wasn't familiar with that. And Vince points this out, because what will happen in silver is already happening in oil, Texas ERCOT, and natural gas. These are also strategic asset commodities with structural deficits in the U.S. They predict what will happen in silver. In fact, this is already happening in silver, just at a much slower pace. Silver and gold's technical map. In Vince's suggestion, I'll probably start with something like a meme style SOB short squeeze. Bad actors will be blamed. The regulators will step in directly or through proxies. Margins will be raised. We've seen this before. Capital controls used to get rampant predatory speculation under control. After this, the market returns to normalcy due to the cooler heads taking control. But of course, the big but. You know about big buts. I use big buts myself sometime. You know what but really means too. But means everything you said prior to that was not true. And again, this is what Vince says here. But, which he's saying this is not true. Silver is not a meme stock that its CEO can merely issue more shares of. This is a physical commodity and structural deficit. Let me say that one more time. This is a physical commodity and structural deficit. That's when the multi-year long-term bull market begins, and that's when the real shit starts. He didn't say that, I did. When silver rallies, it will lose. When silver rallies, and it will, those with much less to lose will push back. After the first move high, weak longs and scrap. Vince has got some really good advice here. I would read the rest of this, but I love this meme. Keep calm and stack. In fact, I may do a little plagiarism and cut and paste that and use that for my thumbnail today. Vince, thanks a lot. Wonderful article out there, and I highly suggest all you folks. It's a spam. Sorry, didn't mean to do that in your ear. Highly suggest all you folks read this article by VBL and subscribe to his future articles. Good stuff there. By the way, gata.org. Got to recommend that you put them on your bookmark bar as well. Some good articles out there. But what I'm going to talk about, a couple good articles on gata.org this weekend. Definitely read them. Ted Butler just put out this new article. I didn't get a chance to really read it, but the coming move to $50 silver and beyond. And I got it again. Ted Butler. Couple of you guys in comment section says I have a man crush on Ted Butler. That's probably right. I do have a man crush on Ted Butler. I think, like, for all these years since I was young, I knew that these markets were manipulated, and like Mr. Butler opened up my eyes on who, why, how, and where, and the technical aspects of it, and not just the black helicopters and men in suits and guys sitting around a table. No, not conspiracy shit. Ted Butler actually showed me how it's done, who the players are, and obviously we know why. It's all about freaking greed and more money. All right. Well, anyway, let me read this here as quick as I can. Said I was going to make it a quick article, a quick show today, but it's hard to when you're reading stuff. Highly recommend you read this. It's on silverseek.com, which is a pretty cool website. I've read their stuff. I've looked at their site before. But Ted Butler usually does writes for them as well. And in addition to his newsletter that he has that I'm subscribed to. Ted says twice over the past 42 years, the price of silver has risen to $50, once back in 1980 and again 11 years ago in 2011. Obviously, no one would argue that something that occurred twice already is not capable of happening again. On both prior silver peaks, prices then fell sharply and quickly, but the next coming move to $50 silver is much more likely not only to exceed the past two highs, but also remain far higher for far longer than previously that we've seen. In 1980, and I was there in 1980, folks, the price of silver rose from $7 to $50 in a little more than a year, driven essentially by the concerted buying, both in futures and physical metals, by interests associated with the Hunt brothers from Texas, and then fell even more sharply as a result of exchange and regulatory action to unwind the Hunt brothers' buying. But the epic price run-up did show conclusively that the speculative investment could drive silver prices higher. And by the way, if you're confused about that, a lot of people that aren't familiar with it say, oh, the Hunt brothers cornered the market, they were collusive and manipulative. No. Not many people know this, except you folks, you silver bugs out there. Not many people know this, but the Hunts got screwed over by the exchanges, the CME group and other exchanges. They got screwed over. The Hunt brothers recognized that the exchanges had no silver, couldn't make delivery. They went out and bought up all the silver they could, above ground silver, not too dissimilar to what we're seeing today, but we got no Hunt brothers out there. We just got silver apes and ourselves that finally know this stuff. Hunt brothers saw it. They seen it a long time ago. So they took advantage of it, and they drove the price of $50, silver up to $50. They were about to break these bullion banks. They were about to break these exchanges. And when the exchanges suddenly decided, hey, we can change the rules and screw the Hunts, and that's exactly what they did. These slimy sons of bitches, bullion banks, regulators, and the exchanges. Slimy, crooked motherfuckers. All right, my first F word, that'll be the last one. Okay, I'll do my best. But that's the best way to describe them. Screwed the Hunt brothers, almost cost them their entire livelihoods. But again, Hunt brothers didn't do anything wrong. They played by the rules and they got screwed by the casino. All right, I move along there. We've done shows about that. I've done that in a few shows. In 2011, silver hit nearly $50 again, but this time there wasn't the slightest hint of excessive speculating buying in silver. That was 2011. In an area I monitor closely, instead the price surge was due to physical buying silver, mainly by the silver ETFs. The sharp price fall starting May 2000 was engineered by interests associated with J.P. Morgan. So, folks, we were at $50 silver. J.P. Morgan, who got fined for literally and convicted of cheating the gold and silver markets, was able to take that $50 2012 market and completely fucking destroy it. Oh man, two words in one day, sorry. And they did succeed, but J.P. Morgan got fined, but they never went to jail, which I'm telling you, the CME group, the CFTC, who is the regulating group, and these big banks, they're all in bed with each other. They're all tied. If one goes down, they all go down. So they all keep each other propped up. These are crooks, folks. These are just, in my opinion, these are just crooks, collusive criminals. All right. But anyways, the game is about to get stuck up their ass because they're not dealing with paper. They can't issue more paper. They've got to have the physical, and that's where this game is going to get stuck up their ass. And we know how they manipulate these games and these markets now, so it won't be as easy as it used to, it was, especially when it gets. Well, anyways, let's move along here because you know me, I can get sidetracked and jump down a lot of rabbit holes. Okay, well, of the 2 billion ounces of silver that exist in 1,000-ounce bar, the form that matters most to price, more than, and we've talked about this, that 1,000-ounce bar prices are up substantially right now, folks. That tells me, last I looked, retail 1,000-ounce bars were spot plus 260. I have never, ever seen retail 1,000-ounce bars at spot plus 260. I mean, that's epic, all right? And it's probably going to get even higher. Get it while you can. More than 1.1 billion ounces is owned by the world's silver ETFs. And this is true. They do own physical. A lot of people say, well, they own all paper. No, the short positions in SLV are paper derivatives. But SLV is required to own a certain amount of silver, and I believe they probably do. I think Mr. Butler says the same thing. Another 300 million ounces are held in the COMEX warehouses, making the total amount of silver bullion in recorded form a remarkable 70% of all the silver in the world. Back in 2011, there was less than half that amount in the world silver ETFs. In 1980, investors had no silver in the world ETFs. And what Ted's pointing out here is that there's so much silver being held. And a lot of people, when I have said there's a silver shortage out there, I've heard there's plenty of silver, Brian, there's lots of silver, I got silver, he's got silver. Folks, I meant available silver, not silver that exists in the world, but how much available silver for sale is there out there? Not a lot. And Ted's pointing out that it's even less now, far less, because a lot of that silver is in SLV right now. A lot of it's, so there is very little physical product out there. The dog is going to wag that tail right off its ass pretty soon, folks. We could be seeing $50 plus gold. And I've felt that once the controls are let off by these collusive shorts, and they position themselves in the long position to make money off this deal, and they know better. Vince points it out, Ted points it out, that silver's going to sail probably far past that $50 mark. You know, where it goes, I don't know. Where it stays, I don't know. But I don't think we'll ever see prices this low ever again in history. You know, it's not a matter of if, it's when. Let's see, one important consider often overlooked is the first price run up 50 resulted in a little avalanche of silver coming to the market in the form of old coins as well as silver artifacts of every type imaginable. I was there, gosh, I remember people bringing in. We had, when I worked for my father in 1980, we had like a little 10 by 10. My dad started in a little 10 by 10 or 15 by 15 shop, small shop. We had people lined up around our building, literally holding gold, silver, and platinum, just waiting to get into our store. That's no exaggeration. Lined up around the building. After all, silver's prices had been essentially fixed at a little more than $1 an ounce for many decades. It mattered little that discounts of 50% and greater were received for the silver artifacts melted. The price advance is great enough to provide a windfall for all the sellers. Absolutely true. In addition, the U.S. government would come to sell the remaining hundred millions of ounces of silver still had in their vaults and stuff. Let me move around here, but nowhere. Okay, let's keep reading here. This is so interesting. Again, I kind of encourage you to read it yourself because I do skip over some things. And again, it talks about the U.S. Mint selling millions of ounces of silver in the form of eagles. In the silver run up to $50 in 2011, there was a second wave of melting, but nowhere near as large as the melt in 1980. The striking thing about the great melt in 1980 and its minor sequel in 2011 is that once someone sells his or unwanted silver artifacts, they can't be sold again. The unmistakable conclusion is that the next run-up of silver will not bring great supplies of silver. It will not, folks. Not many people know this. I am a large wholesale scrapper of silver. It's the one thing that, here at Brick and Mortar and Commercial Rare Coins we do. We buy a ton of scrap silver from local pawn shops, local coin dealers, local bullion dealers, local. It's a little specialty that I have. So I do a lot of scrap silver, and I can tell you it is I used to ship 55-gallon drums every couple weeks of silver up to, and again, there's larger guys than me out there, but we do buy a lot of scrap silver. I am down to, I don't even want to tell you, getting too personal in my business, but we are hardly getting the scrap silver in. Even in 2011, 2012, it wasn't coming in like it did in 80. And of late, we're not seeing hardly anything coming in. So anyways, a lot of people are holding this stuff. The unmistakable conclusion is that the next run of 50 will not bring in a great supply of silver. I agree with that 100%. And government can't dispose of silver since it doesn't own any. Remember when they owned 5 billion ounces since 1940 government? They don't own that no more, folks. So they can't dump a lot of physical silver on the market. Neither will the general public because they don't have it. All right. So there's not going to be any silver coming in, folks. Remember that. It's going to have to come from the mining community. Either that, the price is going to have to go up high enough to drag it out of people's hands. All the while, the physical industrial demand from silver to 80 has increased. Again, I got to skip over this, otherwise we're going to be here for quite some time. Highly recommend you read this article. Let's see here if I can kind of hit some points that I saw earlier. Wow, I just want to read this whole thing, but look how, yeah, we're going to be here for a little while. Folks, you got to read this. I concur with Ted 100%, the coming move to $50 silver and beyond. I'm kind of more in the beyond park right now just because it's like a spring that's been, a mainspring that's been wound up and overwound, and finally it just lets loose, boom, all at once. So I think we're going to see much higher prices than that. But where it ultimately settles out to, I'm not quite sure. Will it be between 50 and 100? Will it be over 100? When everything settles down finally at some point. I suspect silver is going to be a $75 plus metal in the future on average, and that's probably conservative. Well, anyways, I'm going to call it quits right now. I'd like to thank everybody for watching my videos. Please hit that like and subscribe button as well, and that little bell up there to remind. It'll tell you when my new videos come up. And a couple of YouTubers have been saying out there, and I also found that for myself, sometimes for some reason YouTube just has a tendency to drop your bell and drop people off the list of things that you watch. So make sure you're still subscribed, and make sure you still see that bell button. Hit that bell button up there, and that like button as well. No time to really. I do, but I got some things I need to do that are pretty important. So I'm going to skip over my usual answer and comments on Thursday's video, and move into thanking everybody for watching my videos. I'd like to thank the people at Wall Street Silver, all you silver apes out there. You guys are awesome. We all have one thing in common, is that the understanding of how these markets are rigged, who does it, and why, and the fact that we believe that silver is way underpriced. We all share that same common knowledge. And thank you, Wall Street moderators, for allowing me to post my videos out here. You know what? I've been on Twitter for quite some time, but I've never ever used it. How'd that idiot get on my feed? Well, anyways, it looks like some of you guys started following me, responding to me, and a few of you folks out there from some other places, videos inviting me to come do a thing with you. I have to watch it, by the way. But you know what? I still don't know how to work this shit. So I'm quite not sure where these messages come from. I'm kind of ignorant when it comes to Twitter, but I'll learn it. And thank you, all you folks here. Wilson, Coins for Amateur Eras, and Aaron, Rizzuto, Proofs, AG Toners, Chris, all you guys, Miss CFA, United States Coins Amateurs, and all you folks out there that just discovered me on Twitter, thank you very much. I'll figure out how to use this, and I will watch your videos and be more responsive as soon as I figure out how to use it. Looks pretty simple, though. And that's it, folks. This is Brian with ConciergeBullion.com. If you live anywhere in the continental U.S. and you're looking to buy larger amounts of gold and silver, call us at ConciergeBullion.com. I've been doing this since 1977, and what ConciergeBullion.com is for, again, people buying larger quantities that live anywhere in the continental U.S. We don't have a site here, as you can see, that you can click and buy it. You have to physically call us, the old school method of dealing face-to-face or voice-to-voice on the telephone using bank wires, traditional forms of payments, and traditional forms of secure shipping. No PayPal and that kind of crap. Well, that's really about it. And if you live in South Florida, and you can come visit us at a brick and mortar, we sell anywhere from $1 worth of gold and silver to millions of dollars worth of gold and silver. And I will beat APMEX, JM Bullion, SD Bullion. They're all great companies, and Miles Franklin as well, for you larger folks out there buying larger quantities. I will beat all their prices on gold, silver, and platinum products. Give us a call, and they're great companies, don't get me wrong, but if you're going to be competitive, who do you want to be competitive against? You want to be competitive against the big boys out there, and we are highly competitive. Small, tight ship here with lots of punch. Well, anyways, thanks for watching. Have yourself a great day, and I will talk to you on Monday. Bye now.